Hello everybody, this is Lara at Elliott Wave Gold and Elliott Wave Stock Market, soon to be moving to a new website, pureelliottwave.com, and I've got some Bitcoin and BitcoinCash analysis for you today. I'm going to start with Elliott Wave analysis and then we'll go over to stock charts and have a quick look at the classic technical situation. I haven't updated my wave count, I've just updated the data, so this is my last attempt for what was happening with Bitcoin. Well, it could be over there for this main wave count for Bitcoin. Minor wave Y is longer than equality in length with, minute C is longer than A, and this might be a regular flat, but it's also ending pretty close, minor Y ending pretty close to the same level as W, so that the double combination for intermediate B is essentially a sideways movement, so that has the right look, although the regular flat for minor Y doesn't necessarily, this part, have quite the right look. So what else could be happening here? Have I got this wrong and is it incomplete? What do I have for my alternate? Well, this expects that it's still continuing as well, and this pretty much doesn't change. Actually, that looks better, and intermediate X could be a zigzag. A is a 5, B is a 3, and B is an expanded flat. Has C moved beyond the end of A? Yes, it has. Okay, so I'm going to leave the channel like that and expect a little bit of resistance. This wave count is also possible. I have to recalculate the target. That wouldn't really see much of a low. So if intermediate Y is 0.382 the length of W, it wouldn't really be deepening the correction much, so it should be longer than that if this is a double zigzag. Let's try 0.618. That looks pretty good. Okay, so X could be a zigzag. That's the most common structure for X waves. Primary 4 could continue lower as a double zigzag. What else did I have here? Oh, a huge triangle. And this remains possible as well. All things remain possible. Okay, just quickly, going back to this first chart. Oh, I know this one. We can see a zigzag over at the low here, 28,893.621. And this is the 21st of June. This low here didn't make a new low, it's slightly above. So if we move the degree of labelling within primary 4 within this part up 1 degree, it's entirely possible it was a quick single zigzag over there. But the reason why I am not going to consider that is when you look at this at the weekly chart level. Well, I'm not going to consider it yet until it proves itself to be true. If you have primary 4 over here, it's lasted only 10 weeks compared to primary wave 2, which lasted 37 weeks. Let's look at Bitcoin's previous behavior within cycle 1 between its primary, second and fourth waves. Here, this primary wave 2 lasted 23 weeks and primary 4 lasted 91 weeks. The first part of it lasted just 12 weeks. Now, it's possible that in the current situation primary 4 could be over like this, but it really does look too brief. I think it's much more likely to have better proportion to primary 2, so I'm going to consider it still continuing. Okay, let's take a look at some classic analysis. Let's have a look at the weekly chart for Bitcoin this week, because last week closed with a bullish engulfing candlestick pattern. That's this candlestick here, and it has support from volume. So coming after a hammer here and a test of support here, we've got 3 tests of support. Every time support or resistance is tested and it holds, it's strengthened. So we've got a test here, here, here and here, and it's still holding about 28,800. We've got a bullish candlestick pattern here and again here, and this one importantly has support from volume. This is pretty bullish for Bitcoin. On balance, volume remains in a range at the weekly chart level though, so it's not giving us a signal yet. RSI is neutral. This pullback's brought it down from extremely overbought, but well back into neutral territory. This pullback's brought ADX down from very extreme. It reached at the high above 70 and it's bringing it down, but it hasn't brought it down to below both DX lines yet. And so we may see some sideways churn before ADX is ready at the weekly chart level to indicate a new trend. ATR declining as price moves sideways, bit of weakness and sideways movement, and stochastics returning to neutral. So the candlestick patterns look pretty bullish at the weekly chart level for Bitcoin, and this support holding about 28,800, that's pretty bullish. Now we could just see some sideways churn, maybe that big triangle I have as an alternate wave count for Bitcoin could explain what might be happening in support at 28,800 could continue to hold while price continues sideways to bring ADX down further and set it up for the next trend. What about the daily chart level for the shorter term picture? A bullish engulfing candlestick pattern here also has support from volume. At the daily chart level, for the short term at least, Bitcoin's giving us a bullish signal from on-balance volume. It's broken above resistance. This line is pretty much, or it's almost horizontal. It's fairly long held. It's got quite a few tests, so this is quite a strong bullish signal. Let's see how price behaves if it can get up to next resistance at 42,500. If it can break through there, then next resistance, 50,000. ADX is indicating a new upward trend at the daily chart level. RSI just dipped into overbought. It's back into neutral territory in the last completed session. But for this particular market, RSI can reach deeply overbought. Not so much oversold, but overbought. It can reach very deeply overbought and remain there for quite a long time. So just because RSI has just dipped into overbought doesn't mean upward movement has to end here. Stochastics overbought, but that can remain extreme for a long period of time when this market is trending, and at the moment it's trending upward. So I think maybe that big triangle alternate wave count may be the one. Let's flick back to the Elliott wave counts. What do I have here? A zigzag with intermediate B possibly over here. I'm not convinced that's the right wave count now. I don't think this is the right wave count. I think maybe we're looking more like this. So let's put some arrows in here so you can have an idea of what I'm actually expecting to see here. They're going to be a bit squished up. This could be really long lasting, and C, I'd expect to end around there, and this AC trend line to have this test here. So we'd have a huge big bounce for B, and I'm going to calculate an expected range for this, because in my research I've found that triangle subwaves are pretty commonly about 80% of the prior subwave. Not always, it's a good target to calculate. So let's do that. So let's see where B would be 80% the length of A. 57,669. So this is a tentative target for this bounce. Doesn't have to be there. That's where B would be 80% the length of A. I'm just going to have a quick look at my research results for the behavior of Bitcoin. See if I'm remembering this correctly. Triangles, length of the subwaves, 84%. Yeah, about 80. So anyway, for Bitcoin, about 80%. It's a very, very tentative general target, just a vague guide as to where it may end. But I think I'd rather use resistance. So we'll have resistance about this peak here, 59. We'll have resistance here at this low, 47. So we'll watch how it behaves as it reaches resistance. We'll see if ADX gets extreme, if RSI reaches extreme, if we see any weakness in upward movement, and then we'll look for a bearish candlestick pattern. Okay, let's move on. Let's have a look at BitcoinCash. I haven't done an analysis for this, so I'm going to start with a weekly chart. And this is looking like a really good option. It exhibits this exponential growth. Let's put this on a semi-log scale. That's a little bit better. But when you view a market on an arithmetic scale, let's quickly go back there. If it has this exponential growth, this curve, and this very sharp peak, and then a major crash, that's a financial bubble. The bubble forms, it peaks, it crashes, and now it's gone down and it's forming this long, slow, curved bottom, and it's showing strength off lows here. So it tells us a couple of things. It's got the ability to form a financial bubble, so it's probably going to do it again because it's showing some strength off lows. And here at the low we have a nice strong bullish engulfing candlestick pattern. Let's just see real quick if that had support from volume. Yes, it did. The volume here, 4.7 billion, is a lot stronger. 573.4 million, 756.9 million. Yeah, this is a huge increase in volume, a big bullish engulfing candlestick pattern with good support from volume. Okay, let's just get rid of this. So it shows strength off lows, so this is one that I want to have a look at and possibly chuck a little bit of money at. Not too much though for this one. Okay, let's have a go at an Elliott wave count. See what we can see. Let's start with cycle degree because we're looking at a few years here. I can see a really good 5-wave impulse up to that high, 21 weeks for cycle 1. That's a little bit brief. This might actually need to be labelled at primary degree. Oh no, hang on, this makes a new low, so that's not okay. So we'll have this off to the left of the chart and start the wave count down there. Okay, so it's not as good as I thought, but this does have a nice, oh, does it? No, it doesn't. Huge overlap. That doesn't work. Let's have a zoom in on that. Maybe in these early days it just didn't have enough volume for decent looking Elliott wave structures. I'm going to have a look at the daily chart level for that and see if on the daily chart there is that overlap or if there's a better explanation. Yeah, no, there is. That's unavoidable. So unless we have this here, no, that doesn't resolve the problem at all, does it? Well, well, I don't know. Does 3 subdivide as an impulse? No. Not even. Because now there's going to be an overlap here. That doesn't work. And I don't want to put primary 3 up here. Okay, what else could have been happening? Could we have a leading diagonal? It's all a little bit academic, and it doesn't actually matter too much. If it didn't start out with sufficient volume, then it's certainly got sufficient volume here. Well, this doesn't work either, because it can't be. No, that's horrible. It's not a. No. It just doesn't work, does it? None of this is going to work. Let's go back to the weekly chart. And here's our low here. I think what I'm going to do for this one is not worry about the cycle degree. I'm going to start my wave count from here. And I'm just going to have primary degree. And let's see if primary wave 1 will subdivide as an impulse on the daily chart. Well, okay, I need to be looking at this on an arithmetic scale. That's easier to see, isn't it? I don't think this is going to work very well. It looks like a 3, doesn't it? No, I don't think so. And there's a huge overlap here. Oh my goodness. Well, that could be a leading diagonal, but if it is, then primary 2 isn't particularly deep. Oh, well, I don't know, it might be in percentage terms. Let's check it. Yeah, it's 80%. Okay. So I'm going to label this a leading expanding diagonal. Not the most common structure, but it's not exactly rare. Just in case anyone watching is wondering why I'm allowing for an overlap between 4 and 1, within a diagonal, 4 must overlap 1. That looks okay. Oh, let's just check 4. It has to be a zigzag. 2 and 4 within diagonals must be zigzags. Is B? Yeah. Okay, B hasn't moved beyond the start of A, so that's valid, and I think I'm going to put A here and B. See, this is an expanded flat, and then A I think will fit nicely as a 5. No, not really. No, I think we want to see this over here like this. But that doesn't work. Okay. Is this going to be a diagonal as well? I'm just looking at the wavelengths. No, 3 is the longest. That doesn't work. I'm going to go back to seeing this here as an expanded flat. I don't really like the look of minute 3 there. What if we have this 2 with some kind of combination? Oh yeah, okay, zigzag, X, flat. Yeah, that works. I'll just put some labels in there so you can see what I'm seeing. W is a zigzag, X, and then Y is a flat, and the whole thing essentially is mostly sideways. Oh, don't do that motive wave, put it there. And C moves beyond A. This looks like an expanded flat, and W looks like a 3. Okay, that works. That works quite nicely. Oh, and this B looks like a good 3. And C could easily be a 5. I'll put this here, I think. That's better. Okay, so within a diagonal, a leading diagonal, subwaves 2 and 4 must be zigzags. Subwaves 1, 3 and 5 are most commonly zigzags, but they can also be impulses. Within a diagonal, 4 must overlap 1, 3 must move beyond the end of 1, and 5 must move beyond the end of 3. 5 can't be truncated in a diagonal. This is an expanding diagonal because 3 is longer than 1, and 5 is longer than 3, and 4 is longer than 2, and the trend lines must diverge for an expanding diagonal, and they do. That all is absolutely fine. Now what about the structure of primary 2? Well, first of all, let's get our invalidation point, which will be back down here. Primary 2 may not move beyond the start of 1, so if we see a new low below this point, this wave count is invalid. What is this point? 75.075. Primary 2 is already corrected 80% the length of primary 1, so it could be over there, but doesn't actually look like a good looking zigzag. Let's expand this out and let's have a quick look at primary wave 2. I don't think this is over if it's What if we put A down here? Could this have been a diagonal? Could this be B? Although there looks like there's quite a lot of strength off the low here. Okay, 3 is shorter than 1, 5 is shorter than 3, 4 is shorter than 2. This could be a leading contracting diagonal, but the trend lines must converge. Oh, that looks terrible. They do converge, but this trend line here is not adhered to, and if I put that there, it is adhered to. Or let's just check the high of this, 546.615, and this is a little lower, isn't it? Yeah, 539. So if I have 4 ending there, the trend lines of the diagonal sit nicely. Elliott wave triangles and diagonals, the trend lines usually show where price, while it's forming the structure, finds strong support and resistance. You can have tiny little overshoots, but they should be adhered to. You shouldn't have breaches. So here, these overshoots are just a little bit too big for it to really have a really good look. I know that's really fussy. It's not a rule, it's just an eye to the right look. And if I put it here, then within minor 4 there'd be a very small truncation for its C wave. I don't like truncations, and this isn't the context in which you could expect to see a truncation. Okay, there's another explanation for what could be happening here for primary 2, but I think there's too much strength in this last upward movement here. Oh, unless it's a C wave. Could be a double zigzag. They're really common structures. Okay, someone asked me, Lara, why do you keep saying that you can't have multiples within multiples? I don't have a copy of Frost and Preached with me anymore. Long story, but I just don't. I know it's in the 10th edition now. It's either in the description of the structures when it talks about combinations. There's a piece there that says the maximum number of corrections in a multiple is 3. So it's either in the description or in the 10th edition, pages 81 to 90 something, I think. There's a really comprehensive list of, well, almost completely comprehensive list of rules and guidelines. And if you go to that piece and you carefully read the rules for combinations, the maximum number of structures within a combination is 3. And then it actually outlines all the different combinations. You can have a zigzag, a flat, a triangle, a zigzag, a flat, and so on and so forth. And just note, each of those structures within a combination is a simple corrective structure. It's a zigzag, it's a flat, or it's a triangle. You can't have multiples within multiples. And sadly, Motive Wave will let you do this. I really wish it wouldn't. So I could do this, and that is invalid. Because now I've got a multiple within a multiple, and I do it again for y, and now the total number of corrective structures within my multiple is 1, 2, 3, 4. That's beyond the maximum of 3. That's invalid. So you can't do that. I see that as the most commonly breached or broken Elliott wave rule, and the overuse of labelling W, X, Y, X, Z. Triples aren't actually that common. Triple zigzags, I've seen a few. I think I've only ever seen one triple combination. Okay, rant over, sorry. It does annoy me actually. It shows that people haven't been reading and thinking about the rules, and that's why I wrote my own book, which should be published early to mid-September, I hope. I think that the rules in Frost and Preached are comprehensive, but they just could be written so that it would be just a little bit clearer. Oh, that's really good. That has a really nice fit. I think I'll put this here though. Oh, I don't like that there. Oh, maybe this was some kind of triangle. Okay, so BitcoinCash. Oh, this is weekly. Let's have a look at the daily. Let's just focus on primary tool. This video is going to be too long. Oh, so last week when I recorded this video for the YouTube channel for you guys, there was quite the storm. It did go all day. That happens here in Bocas del Toro. It's actually pretty cool. I like it. Someone asked in comments, am I just holidaying, visiting in Panama? No, I actually live here. I emigrated from New Zealand to Panama. I know, weird, eh? In March 2020. I totally went in the wrong direction. Who was to know there was going to be a global pandemic? I mean, we didn't see that one coming. Well, you know, some of the scientists saw it coming, but I got stuck in one of the world's strictest and longest lockdowns. I was stuck in an apartment in Panama City for 5 months. Not a fun time. I moved here because I'm a surfer and I don't like cold water in New Zealand winters, so I don't like this structure for -C either. This may be a diagonal. I'm checking the wavelengths. Yes, 3 is longer than 1, not by much, but it is. 4 is longer than 2, and 5 is longer than 3. Put the trend lines in. Do they diverge? Just. And the fifth wave has quite a big overshoot. That's okay. Fifth waves can certainly overshoot the 1-3 trend line of a diagonal. I think this is probably going to continue lower, but I think for the short term a little bit more upward movement to complete intermediate X, so that C, has it moved beyond the end of A? Not quite, so it's going to go up a bit longer. This looks like, well, this is obviously a flat correction. A is a 3, B looks like a pretty good 3. Let's put some labels in there. And let's calculate the length of B in relation to A to figure out what kind of flat this is. So B is a 1.02 length of A, so this should be a regular flat if I've got this bit right. Let's put the... Okay, so for this one, maybe just a little bit more upward movement for C to move beyond the end of A to complete the flat for X. And then that should be it. If I've got that right. I think that looks okay. So I don't think primary 2, I don't think this pullback is done for Bitcoin Cash. And when it's done though, we should see a third wave up. Let's have a quick look at some classic analysis. Okay, let's just take a look at this at the daily chart level. What happened to my second line here? Okay, so the first thing I'm noting is at this major high back here, there was double bearish divergence between price and RSI after RSI reached overbought. RSI is still neutral, so there's room for price to continue higher, but ADX says it's not trending. Stochastics is overbought. If the market is not trending, then when stochastics reaches overbought, we'd expect the end of an upward swing within a consolidation. But on balance, volume is breaking above resistance. That's a bullish signal. This line has about 4 tests, not too much of a slope, and it's reasonably long held, so there's some technical significance in this signal. But then I also notice that this bullish engulfing candlestick pattern off the last low does not have support from volume. There's a nice hammer candlestick pattern too, so we could possibly have a double bottom, but this is really important that we don't have support from volume for this candlestick. For a bullish candlestick pattern, for us to have confidence in it, it should have support from volume. So let's look out for possibly this upward swing to end. Now it could end here, we could have resistance here. We've got, and I should put another horizontal support and resistance line in here. We've got tests of support here, test of resistance here, nearly here, and again here. If it breaks through here, which is about 540, 550, next resistance about 605. If ADX starts to turn up, it would then indicate an upward trend. And if the market is in a new upward trend, there would be quite a lot of room before RSI reaches as extreme as it can for these markets. But I think the bottom line is I'm going to give quite a lot of weight to this bullish engulfing candlestick pattern not having support from volume. I'll expect the upward swing to end possibly about here, or maybe about 605 before we see a downward swing and a test of lows again. Okay, that's it from me this week with your Bitcoin and this week Bitcoin Cash analysis and a Bitcoin update. Just to let the YouTube channel know what's coming up soon, on the 21st of August I'm launching a new website, pureelliottwave.com, and then mid to late September on that website I'll have the book that I've written and 3 video courses I'm completing. One for Elliott Wave, to teach Elliott Wave, one to teach basic classic technical analysis, and another one about financial bubbles with some tips and tricks for those. So that'll be coming up mid to late September. When the website launches on the 21st of August, I'm going to be analysing Bitcoin once a week, every week. But I'm going to be doing that as a paid membership service. I'm not going to keep doing it every week for free. I will still give you something else, another cryptocurrency or something for free on this channel, but it won't be Bitcoin every week. And so if you're interested in receiving my Bitcoin analysis once a week, you might want to keep an eye on that, because I'll be announcing it on this channel. When it's launched, the new website, I'll offer a grandfather rate. So if you sign up within the first 48 hours, you'll get a special rate for that weekly analysis. It'll be $40 a month, and it will include Bitcoin, S&P 500, gold, and US oil. Thank you very much for watching.